Hi, my name is Mr. Cadell, and today I'm going to be showing you how to do some of the final steps in our watercolor painting. One of the first things I want to talk about is once you start painting a lot on watercolor paper, you'll notice it starts to want to roll up a bunch. That paper starts to want to bend and roll. If you just reverse that roll, just kind of roll it the other way or bend it the other way without creasing it, you can get those rolls and bends out. Now you notice I've been working on the darker colors, those 6, 7, 8, 9 type values. Not a lot of 10 values, maybe a little bit around here and in the eye. I have actually not used any black. Even in the eye, I actually mixed some brown, some blue, and some purple together to get that really dark color there. I prefer not using black too much in my paintings because it sort of deadens out the color. Now one of the big things that people ask is when they start doing some of these darker colors, these darker values, is how do you get watercolor really dark? Because sometimes when you start adding water to it, it starts lightening up, and that's a good technique. If you're doing these lighter colors, you just add water to make it lighter. But when you're needing dark colors, you need to keep those colors just as dark as possible, so you do the reverse. You have to get a lot of that color with just a little bit of water, but the key is just a little bit of water. So notice I'm not going back to my water buckets and getting a bunch of water. I just keep going back to the paint, and notice that the color stays a lot darker. Now, sometimes if I do get water, if I'm just running out of water, I'll take my paper towel and kind of get some of that water out. There was too much water in that paintbrush. If I were to put that back in that green that I'm using right here, it would lighten up that color way too much. And sometimes I see that a palette just filled with water and people are struggling with getting a darker color. So now I can go in with this dark color and I can start painting this. But I can already tell this green is sort of a fake looking green in the background. That's not what I want. So I don't even need to erase it. I can actually clean up my paintbrush, my water, take out some of that water because there's too much. I can either get a little bit or a lot. In this case, I'm going to need a lot of blue paint. That'll make it even darker. And I'll show you what I'm doing on my palette here. Get some blue paint here. That'll make that color even darker. Clean out my paintbrush. And also, sometimes you can make colors a lot darker by using its opposite. Of course, the opposite of green is red. So I'll go ahead and grab a little bit of red here. And I'll put that in there. And that'll take that kind of fake looking green and dull it down. You'll see how dark it gets right there. Now I can take that same color, go over the same spot, the glazing or layering method, and it darkens it up even more. Makes it a little bit more natural looking. There we go. And if I do need to change that color, I can layer on again, just like that. Now many times in the background, I'm using a wet into wet watercolor technique. That means, like in this section right here, I'll go ahead and just add a touch of water. It will lighten it up a little bit, so I'm going to go grab some of that dark color again, clean up my paintbrush, get a little touch of water there, a lot of yellow. This time I have to use a lot of paint. The lighter the color, the more paint you have to use sometimes. Then I'm going to drop in some of that yellow here and let some of the water do the work. And as it dries, it'll move around a little bit. There we go. So I'm mixing colors right on there. Now do notice one of the big points I want to point out is that you'll notice where the subject got lighter, the background got darker. Okay, that's very important, very important. So I don't want the same value in the background as I do in my animal. For example, if I have a value here of about a 3 value, I don't want the background to be a 3 value as well. In fact, I can go back here in the background and even darken that edge up just a little bit more. I don't want an outline, just darken up this spot a little bit more so that animal pops out a little bit more. And also notice I'm starting to do the details with the dark values as well. So I already did the light value details, and I'll finish that up and we'll move on to the last step.